Well, we have here Miss Ava Loneman, and she happens to be a sophomore in what school?
Biomed Science Academy.
And you're working with so far a straight A in all your classes, right?
Yeah.
And hoping to go on to college.
Mm-hmm.
And really a special thing we wanted to do tonight, one of her assignments was to write something, a story, in a backward mode, right?
Yeah, a reverse story.
A reverse story. And she's going to read it for us here today. And I'd like for her to start, and this is the daughter of Rhonda and Andy Loneman.
Yeah. Okay, so my story's called Uncrucified. He hung lifelessly upon the cross, each arm pinned up, stretched out wide, as though he were embracing the death that was approaching him. An innocent man sentenced to death, all in the vain accusations of the people he was dying to save. He was struggling to take his last breath when the entire fate of mankind oddly took a twist. Each breath became less of a struggle. The water and blood leaking from his punctured lungs slowly returned to its rightful place inside of him. The spear that had been thrust into his aching side was removed, in a repentance-like act, by its wielder. As the spear left his side, the hole repaired itself. Each drop of blood that had oozed from his punctured wrists and ankles returned to him, restoring his life. The cross was taken down and gently laid upon the ground. Soldiers gathered round. The sign, the King of the Jews, once a mockery of his good deeds, was removed from its place above his head. One by one, the stakes were removed from his limbs. With the removal of each stake, again, the deep red fluid returned to him, and his skin immediately healed. He rose up from the cross to the hands of the soldiers. The 5 soldiers returned his garments and sandals. The scarlet robe placed upon him stuck to wounds. Wounds caused by 5 accounts of 39 lashings. A great strong man by the name of Simon hoisted the cross upon his shoulder. He carried the cross so that the poor man might recover his strength to continue carrying the burden laid upon him by his ungrateful brethren. Down the hill in Golgotha, the one where he was removed from his burden, he slowly fell to the ground, summoning strength to assist him in carrying the cross of his people's damnation. He passed by the crowds while carrying the cross, with assistance, of course. The tears of the women who stood round slowly crawled up their faces, back into their eyes, like a sleepy bear billowing into its cave for hibernation. The bloody man slowly fell to the ground yet again, and he was whipped by the soldiers. But with each whip he was healed. For each lash he received, the dripping blood again returned to his body, and his wounds closed, like a flower bud at dusk. A woman in the crowd ran to the suffering man with a towel that had his face upon it. He pressed it to his face, and when he looked up, it was covered in blood and dirt, but his complexion no longer remained on the cloth. Simon was whisked away by the guards, back into the crowd. The tortured man, now possessing more strength, was left to carry the cross upon his own shoulders. He saw his mother standing in the road, slightly out from the crowd. She, too, had tears running up her face, as she quickly backed away, back into the herd of barbaric animals called humans. For the last time, he fell slowly. The people in the crowd retracted the globs of spit from the ground back into their mouths, and the rocks jumped into their hands. The crown of thorns was removed from his head, and the scarlet cloak was replaced with his clothes. He was taken to testify before the well-known judge, Pontius Pilate. And so, the son of the ruler of the universe was escorted back to his disciples and set free. The life of a more than innocent man was spared, and in turn every sinner was condemned to hell for eternity.
was the story of Jesus on the cross, backwards, right?
Yes.
And that was a little bit of the song whistled by Travels with the Stevensons, John Stevenson, your great uncle, for my great niece, Ava Loneman. God bless you and what you did in a beautiful story. And hopefully all can remember this story this Christmas season, for Jesus is the reason for the season. Anything you'd like to add, Ava?
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Fantastic. Well, God bless you and thank you so much for giving this story to Uncle John and Aunt June for Travels with the Stevensons, 859-750-0000. And wishing you well up there in the north. Be sure and send Santa Claus south to see us all here in Kentucky.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Ava was a little shocked when she heard me start whistling the old rugged cross.